Oh, right. So, welcome to the first episode of the Doodle podcast. I'm very happy to be joined today by Daan Botlek. Welcome, Dan. Dan's over there.
Hi, good morning.
So, why are you in Berlin this time? You just hanging out or what?
Yeah, just a few days. I was on my way back from an event in Dresden and actually not planning to come here, but while I'm this nearby, of course, I should just visit some people.
Yeah.
Very last minute, nice and chaotic, as always, I guess.
As always. You're very free, man. You're much better at these travelling around doing things than me.
I'm not sure about that. It's I'm also not really sure what I'm doing, but I'm enjoying it.
But I only go somewhere if I get invited. I'm not like I was in Hamburg last week for a project and I was hanging out with this young kid. Fucking hell, man. He's like, I said, when were you born? He's like, 1998. I was like, that's when I first started painting in the street. And I was like, and he said, when were you born? I said, 1973. He's like, that's when my parents were born. So fuck.
Okay, that will be the old man podcast then.
Yeah, but because he's young, he's like one of these street artists that wants to go different places to spread his stuff around, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess that's what people do, but I don't know, I don't feel like I need to. You know, when you see a picture of somewhere on Instagram, you're like, wow, that place is beautiful, and you're like, yeah, but when I get there, there's gonna be trash. There's gonna be people everywhere. Oh, can't spell. It's not gonna be the same. I don't really want to do stuff when I go somewhere unless I'm going there specifically for a project.
I was just surprised with realizing that a lot of artists who travel actually address the festivals themselves. I'm really not used to it. I was used to getting invited and then backed off for a few years because I didn't like things happening.
Yeah.
And then later you see all those new kids doing pretty well. I'm just used to kind of do the things I do, and I'm very happy when I'm getting invited for something, but I don't realize like, oh shit, this is really a job.
Yeah.
People just go for it, and they basically in winter make sure they got a whole schedule for the next spring, summer.
Oh no, it's crazy, huh? I don't ever think, like, always every few months I think, like every 6 months I think, yeah, maybe I should like try and find out what these mule festivals are and contact them and send them stuff, and then I'm like, why? Why?
Yeah, and then you start a podcast.
Yeah, that's another thing that's weird. It's like, you can just do a thing and put it out. Okay, I guess. But then that's always what we used to do. I mean, everything. I don't know, because I've done so many zines, it doesn't seem like a thing to like start a zine and put out a zine. But you know, these new technologies, these new things. It's like making a TV show. It's like, I don't know about making a TV show, but it's a TV show. So. This is what TV is in the 21st century, right? It's people doing things like this.
Yeah, well, actually, my neighbor. Okay, so I used to live in Bangkok for a while, and one of my neighbors on the compound, Italian guy, chef cook, he was moving back he's from Napoli.
Yeah.
He would go back to Italy because he was invited to do a podcast about Italian kitchen from all over the country, all this very local stuff.
Like
and
a cooking show.
Yeah, he would go around in a van, and then some friends would come along for a few weeks or something, and he would just go places and go cook. And eventually it never happened because Corona happened.
Oh, fuck.
And actually, now he's a chef in Berlin, so I have to visit him once.
Yeah.
But it sounded nice. Like he was like, hey, I'm gonna drive around with my van for 1 year through Italy. Come on over, you can hop along for a few weeks. I can't cook anything, but I can taste, of course, and
I can
maybe-
taste. Yeah, but now you finally got your own place again. You can start cooking. That was actually good about Corona because when I was here with my son, I had to cook. I had to make food 3 times a day, and I've got like half a dozen recipes, and it's like I need to think more about what I'm eating. I need some new recipes. What was this guy's name in Italy?
Pepe.
Pepe.
Uh,
Okay, I'm gonna put that on their truck.
Oh, I should have to. Yeah. Oh, I'm very good. Very not good at thinking and drawing at the same time.
It's difficult.
Or at least talking and drawing.
Yeah, this is another reason why this is a test, you know, is to see like, can I do this? I mean, that when we used to do this with friends, sitting around drawing, we were usually smoking weed as well. So you're not thinking so much. You're just doing.
That's also maybe part of this age thing, no? I mean, now we do it in the morning with coffee,
Yeah.
which is also nice.
Yeah.
But I'm already starting to do it differently than I'm used to do. With stupid long arms.
No,
I've no clue where I'm going, but
there's no rules.
I love rules. But it could be very interesting, no? Like, I like it to set some limitations to yourself, because within the limitations you can do a lot of stuff, and you have to force yourself to come with different solutions for getting to the same appealing result.
Yeah, true. Yeah, but we have got rules here. The rules are black and white, and the edges of the paper.
Okay, yeah, I notice I have one over here, and there's gravity, so maybe I have to divert from that.
Okay, rules. Gravity. That's something I like about skateboarding. One of the rules you're always trying to break. You're always trying to break the rules. Gravity is the rule. So I don't like things with rules very much. I'm not very good with rules.
Well, it depends what you define as a rule, no? A rule already sounds like somebody else opposing it on you.
True.
You're not supposed to do this or that. But if you set them on yourself, then it's a way of finding new dimensions in whatever you're doing.
Yeah, I call that challenges though. Like I've been challenging myself to do stuff. Like that's something I haven't been drawing or working very much this past 3 years. This past year, we were talking about being unmotivated, but I'm like more motivated to do other stuff. Like I've been trying to exercise, and I got into climbing trees.
Oh,
So
yeah,
now,
nice.
when I'm walking around, actually I never walk, but when I'm moving around town, it used to be, as a kid, it was like, you could skate there. There's a bank, there's a bench, And then when I started painting in the street, it was like, you could paint there, or you could skate there. And there's, looking for those opportunities. And now I'm walking around like, there's a tree. I think I could get into if I can get to the first branch, then I could climb that one. Is it worth climbing? How much like opportunity branches and stuff are there going on? So that's my rules now. It's challenging myself to do stuff. Could you do that?
Well, the cool thing is that, or interesting thing is, like everybody experiences reality in the way you have learned to see it, no? So basically, most of the information which you will get to you just ignore, and it makes sense because you would never go anywhere if you're just absorbing all that information. But like I said, if you're into trees, then suddenly you will see trees.
Yeah. That's true. You really focus on the things you're into.
I heard this English saying last year, but I really like it. Like when all you have is a hammer, then everything looks like a nail.
Yeah.
So that's a cool thing, no? Like, and it's a limitation. All you got a hammer. So maybe.
But then it's a limitation, but also there's often times when that nail isn't gonna work for the job. You know, if you've got to put a screw in and you've got to turn it, but you're smashing it with a nail, yeah, you'll maybe achieve your objective, but it would be better to change the rules and say, okay, I have to find a nail or I have to find a screwdriver. And yeah, don't know where I'm going with that one.
Doodling story.
Yeah. If I had a hammer.
Philosophy.
If I had a hammer, I'd hammer in the morning. I'd hammer it in the evening. What's that song about? I bet it's a song about sex. Everything's a song about sex, isn't it?
Hammer time.
What are you hiding in those baggy trousers, MC Hammer?
Can't touch this.
I guess you can if you ask nicely. You always got to ask for permission now. Have you noticed people asking for permission for more stuff these days? Yeah, I noticed that. When I was in the store to try and buy this microphone yesterday. I had a screenshot of the thing I wanted on my phone, and I showed it to the guy, and he was like, "Can I take your phone?" Yeah, of course.
You mean
Instead of
consent?
just be like putting his hand out and me passing it, because it means consent.
That's the word nowadays.
Yeah, that's true.
Or one of them.
That's true. What does MC Hammer look like?
Ooh. He had glasses and...
Oh yeah, glasses.
Like the stripes shaven on the side of his head, something.
Yeah. Also, I was doing this movement course. Like, this guy I met at the skate park. He's like a movement coach. It's like flexibility and reactions. And
everybody's a coach nowadays, eh? But okay.
Oh yeah, but he's been like, he knows what he's doing because he's been doing it for a long time, just for himself personally. So the things he's learned, he's passing on, and I'm actually very, very appreciative of that. Like I hurt my back 2 days ago, and I feel like I'm able to deal with life better because I've been moving my body more. It's like when you're in pain, you start restricting the way you move, because like to stand up from a chair, you usually stand up the same way. But now I'm like, well, I can't stand up from the same way as I normally would because I've fucked up my back. So I'm finding different ways to stand up, like relying on other parts of my body more, pulling myself up or like pushing myself up. So yeah, it's been good. But we were doing this exercise, and he wanted to show me how to do it correctly because I wasn't doing it correctly, and he asked, "Is it okay if I touch you?" And I was like, "That's weird." So, like,
if he would just do it, then
I wouldn't
it
think
would be a
about
normal
it.
thing.
But then
yeah.
as soon as he asked me,
then it becomes creepy somehow. No?
Yeah, it became like a thing. Like, yeah, now a man's gonna touch me. I'm not used to having men touching me. I mean, I hug my son all the time because I don't want him to be so weirded out by being touched by men as I am. I mean, I'm not weirded out by it, but it does feel kind of unusual. I don't know.
But it only became that because of the question.
Yeah, well, no, because there was this one exercise we were doing where we had to like push each other a little bit, and then just resist that amount of pressure that was being put on our limbs. And I was working with this guy who was fucking super ripped, and it was like, this is weird. I'm touching a stranger that I only met like 5 minutes ago. So this is like, okay, but this is also normal. Like, you're supposed to touch people, you know? It's important.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it was weird. And I was like, this is strange. And then we had to do this thing where we were really like trying to like force people to lose balance. And this, I'm used to my body. This guy was like, it was like pushing against a tree. Like, this is such a weird experience. Like, is this like, I'm a little dude and everyone's bigger than me, but is that how it is for it to be a normal man? And then I have to think about the experience of women, like with these different sized men and different strength men. Yes, something you don't think about very much, or ever. At least not me. I don't think. Yeah, that's MC Hammer, right? That's pretty good.
Well, actually, yeah.
MC Hammer's trousers are really high. No, his trousers. I don't remember. Yeah. So that's what I've been doing with my time. Using my body more. Doing things that I'm not, like doing things that make me a little bit more uncomfortable. Because, I don't know, I feel like the way the world is going is very uncertain right now. And I think we have to prepare ourselves for some discomfort. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand, but like I told you earlier, I agree. But at the same time, I become more apathetic. So that's not really helping.
Well,
there's a lot of things I could have been doing with my time the last few years. And eventually just spend it behind a screen. Mostly.
Yeah, but there's other circumstances that led to that. It wasn't like it's normal life and you just decided to not do anything. I mean, 2 years we weren't allowed to do anything anyway. Plus, you had a super... What happened? You fell off a roof, no?
Yeah. That was an interesting experience. Or at least...
Did you go into a coma?
I think they kept me in a coma.
Oh, fuck.
Because they had to do surgery on me, but there was way too much alcohol in my blood, so I had to wait for a bit. And then, I woke up after 4 days. But I was really tripping. And I was aware that I was tripping, and I thought like, oh, these are amazing images. I will remember this one, and I'm going to remember this one, and that one, and of course, they're all kind of gone. I just remember being in different landscapes all the time.
From the drugs you were on in the hospital?
Yeah.
Whoa.
But somehow these landscapes were related to the volume of the room where I was in, the emergency room.
Yeah.
No, like for me, it was a very interesting experience. Everything afterwards, even though it was super surrealistic. But still, for me, it was relatively easy to talk about it because I didn't have the traumatic experience. I didn't see it. I didn't. But the people who were there, I really feel sorry for them. Like, oh shit.
You gave them all PTSD.
Yeah.
Daan Botlek ruined my life.
Ooh, that should be my next podcast.
Name of your next show. I used to have a punk band called The Shits, and I wanted to have an album called The Shits Ruined My Life. What about your musical career? Is that still...
Okay, my career. So basically 12, 13 years ago, a friend of mine kind of asked me to play the drums at his band because his own drummer could not go far away from home because of his job or just became a father. And basically I had 1 week to learn to play the drums.
So you didn't have to play drums.
To learn the songs. So that was fun. Like he was living in a squad and he had this rehearsing studio over there. So every day we practiced. And then we had one show and actually it went pretty well. I mean, for me it's just to be steady in the rhythm and they can cover everything with the guitars and I just have to dress up and cover it with that. So that was fine. And then 2 months later he gave me a call like, hey, we're gonna do a tour in England. You wanna come? I was like, yeah, sure. So basically my second gig was on tour in England. And then we did another tour in Germany and another one in England. But a few weeks ago I was in Dresden with a group of other artists, and then one night we decided to go into town, hit some bars, and we passed this punk venue. We heard some bands playing, so we felt like, oh, let's check it out. It was actually a punk wedding.
Wedding?
Yeah, so that was nice.
Did the bride wear white?
But when I was... No, it was basically the after party, but...
Oh.
But when I was in there, it's like, hey, this looks familiar. And then I realized, like, oh shit, we did a show here 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
It was super random, just walking in somewhere. Yeah. So that was
I
quite
thought you were
fun.
going to say you ended up playing drums for them. Like, is there a drummer in the
And
house? Like, is there a doctor in the house? Well, yes. I'm a drummer.
That would have been something, yeah.
It was fun making music with friends. Just like making a noise. It's a very satisfying thing to do. I did kind of start. I wanted to learn to play piano during the lockdown.
That was also my plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the basic thing to do, and it's easy to do at home during lockdown, no?
Yeah.
And good to have a distraction from this.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I got my, I was getting all the fingers in there, but I don't know. I didn't get a daily practice in doing this thing, like playing that. I was trying to play the same notes with the fingers on the opposite hand, but it's like, if you were to do like thumbs for, that's easy, but doing the little finger at the same time as the thumb, and then the ring finger and the index finger, and then the middle fingers but it's weird. But I like it. I don't really have any talent. I've got some rhythm, but and it's quite. You're free to be a bit creative, but it's like, again, with the rules, you need to kind of know the way things work, like the rules, so that you can actually really
Bend them?
explore.
Or
Yeah, bend them. Yeah.
but how you explained it was actually very nice with the fingers thing. You can make a kind of a choreography and attach some brushes or pens to your fingers and make an abstract drawing of paperwork going one direction with a roll. I don't know.
Yeah.
You can make a new practice of abstract.
Yeah. There you go.
You can be an artist.
Fuck that. Oh man, I don't. Do you refer to yourself as an artist? If people ask you what do you do, what do you say?
Depends what the context is, but for me it's much easier to say artist in English because it's much more. It could be anything, no? But like in Holland, it's very specific. Fine art, maybe a specific, like a painter or a sculpture within fine art.
Okay.
We got the word kunstenaar, like Künstler in German.
Yeah.
And that's something else than artist. It's just one part of, like an artist could be also a musician or whatever, or skateboarder.
I don't know if you could ever describe. I mean, maybe you could say skateboarding's art, but I don't think any skateboarder would ever describe themselves.
No,
I'm an artist.
No, but
I paint with urethane on concrete. That is my communication with the world.
Well, okay, if you're talking about how to describe yourself, I think it's always kind of weird to describe yourself by a profession. Like a lot of people will always refer to me as an illustrator. While I don't have an illustration portfolio, I don't look for jobs. I couldn't even tell 3 illustration jobs for the last 15 years. But still, for people, that's a way to organize their reality, how to deal with different art. I could only say like, hey, I'm the illustrator of this article or this product. I would say it like this, but not I am an illustrator.
Yeah.
But even with names, I've got this problem. Like, you can say, my name is Daan, but you could also say I am Daan, which is a very different thing, of course.
I'm Daan.
And then, like, basically, a lot of people always ask me, like, hey, what is your real name? Because Botlek is basically an artist name.
Yeah.
But that's a weird thing, because suddenly you're in the reality of other people, and that reality has something like a real name. And if you confront people with that, like, hey, what do you mean with the real name? People can be quite upset, like, hey, come on, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, of course I know what you mean, but still, what is a real name, man? How can you say that my artist name is less real than the name in my passport?
Yeah.
Well, actually, like 90% of the people who know me by my artist name. So basically, that's much more real. And also, I've chosen it. So in a sense, that's my real name.
That's how I feel as well. It's like Dave the Chimp is my name because that's how everybody knows me. Even my son knows me. like the only people that know me by my real name is the government.
Yeah,
And they
can catch you with your real name, or real name. I mean, that's not even a real name, and a passport is just a piece of paper which basically works like money. No, like it only has value if people value it like this, and still, it's still kind of an agreement or a trust-based something. But it's not like you're being born and they turn you around like, it's Dave. Okay. And in many different cultures, of course, you change names when you go through different stages of life. And so, what's a real name? Come on, but still.
Yeah, that's it. Could be part of, because we don't have any rituals around becoming an adult in the Western world. I was listening to a podcast about this recently. There's an Australian guy who has written a book about what he did with his son. He decided, like, once he turns 13, I'm gonna prepare him for being a man. I'm gonna teach him to be a man. And he got a group of other fathers together with kids around the same age, and they formed this little community. So the kids that they took all the kids to the beach for this, this is what's happening over the next 6 years, or 5 years, whatever. We're going to do these things and help you to go into the world as a man, instead of you just I'm 18 now, am I a man? Oh, I'm 21 now, am I a man? And they arranged all these things to do with them, and physical things and more spiritual, more intellectual. I'm not describing this very well at all, sorry. But we don't have these things, and I think they're important. So maybe when you take on your graffiti name or whatever, that's you becoming who you really are, and that's kind of part of becoming growing
Well, then at
up,
least you can experiment with it, and
true, yeah.
And it's not opposed on you from the outside world. It's not projected. It's just. But maybe that's also the reason why you got a lot of these coaches nowadays, no? And there's people looking for ritual, meaning, whatsoever.
Yeah, I think some of these coaches are doing it because they're really working on themselves, and it's helping them to improve. Because, if you're coaching someone to be healthier, then you damn straight got to be healthier yourself. So otherwise, it's not if you want to teach art, then you better sure be making art. Otherwise, what are you teaching? And if your teaching isn't helping you improve, if you're teaching something and it doesn't help you improve, then you're not doing a very good job at teaching, I would say. Because if I'm teaching you how to do something, I have got to be thinking a lot about what it is I'm teaching you. If I'm teaching you how to make furniture, I have to think about, how do I actually do this? What do I have to consider when I'm working with a piece of wood? What's important? How do I use these tools? How do I maintain these tools? How do different woods react to different things? Where's the strengths? Where's the weaknesses? So you have to think more, I guess. I would assume. I haven't taught anybody anything ever. I haven't taught anybody anything ever. But then saying that, I've also I do like to not mentor, but talk to young artists.
Yeah, but it's exchange, no? And or motivation, or
I don't know.
or give confidence to others.
Just maybe expand their thinking a bit, but being a mentor is a good thing. It helps you, and it should help you and help them. When I was painting a lot of murals 2 years ago, I was always taking my friend Mark with me, because for two reasons. One was that he's half my age, so he can happily lift big buckets of heavy paint all day, and I don't feel. And he's in the beginning of his career, so I don't feel bad about making him do these things work. But also because having him there, I'm got this young, energetic, excited person with me, and it helps push my energy a bit more and make me feel a bit more like, yeah, okay, we can. This is actually fun. It's not work. It's fun, and I'm getting to hang out and goof around and.
I feel with a lot of art projects, but also personal level, with people that when you start out, it's a bit the same like when you start a band now. When you're young, you're very energetic. You do stuff because you like to do it, and you don't care. But there's a lot of raw energy in there. And then after a while, you become better and better as a musician. You become much more polished. Becomes very good, but a lot of this energy is gone.
Yeah.
And then it just becomes good stuff, but it's still missing something. No? Like
the passion and the. It's also good to be inexperienced at doing something, I think.
Yeah, because that inexperience won't hold you back to do stuff. No, like when you get more and more knowledge and experience, you also think more about it. Like, oh, it could be this, but then we need that, and if I do this, then well, whatever. But if you're young, like. No, I just do this stuff and see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I'm starting a podcast.
Yeah. That's good. I'm starting to do stuff I never really do, like background.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not even a background. Maybe it's an object again.
How are you normally working? I mean, if someone says, "Hey, we've got this mural festival. We want you to come and paint something." Like, say for example, last time we saw each other was Luxembourg, no?
Oh,
no,
yeah.
Ettelbrooklyn.
Ettelbrooklyn. Yeah.
And that was 2 years ago already.
No, last year.
Was it last year?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true. It was last year. Okay. But did you know what you wanted to draw before you came, or did you draw it on a bus to
No, I already had that sketch for a while.
Okay.
Well, for me, it can be quite difficult sometimes to. Like, I've got a lot of ideas and sketches already, but they're also very mathematical. Many surfaces, they would not work.
Because they're too complicated.
Yeah, and need certain dimensions.
Okay.
And this time, I knew right away, like, hey, I've got a sketch for these dimensions of this wall. So yeah, I was super happy I could do this sketch finally, or this idea, but it would not work on a lot of other walls. That's it. Like, I've got a lot of concepts, but yeah, it's always a puzzle to figure out which concept will fit what wall. And sometimes I've got really weird walls, and like I don't have backgrounds, I just got subjects.
Yeah.
And also these subjects are not based on reality, no? Like, I cannot just, when you do a big portrait of somebody, you can leave bits out, or because you can fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
And I've got this concept, if I leave a bit, then the concept is not clear.
Yeah.
So, and if I would do more backgrounds, then I can pay more attention to that, and then maybe the concept just floats somewhere inside, but in the middle. Yeah, I still don't really have one fixed concept of how to deal with many different walls. It's always a puzzle.
Yeah, but that's good. I think one of the things, like, I've been trying to make more paintings in the studio. I mean, I haven't made very many, but I don't know how to paint. So, I mean, I didn't learn how to paint. So it's really like a job of problem solving the whole time.
Yeah.
And I think that's what humans like. I think that's why humans watch like soap operas, because it's like putting more problems in, more stress in it. Like, oh, what do I do about my husband cheating on me? What do I do with the fact that I'm pregnant by another man? What do I do with the fact that my cousin's a junkie? What do I do about the fact that things have gone wrong at work? What do I do about the fact that the neighbour just had a car crash, and whatever the. I'm trying. I can't think of EastEnders, this old English TV show I haven't watched for 30 years. But yeah, it's like having problems to solve is the fun part, I think.
Yeah, but for me, it also takes too much energy. I would like to just focus on working, especially when you're far away from home, dealing with a lot of other stuff already, and then also many times for a few days you have to figure out what to do or how to tackle this, and that's I could do stuff easier.
So why don't you?
Yeah, good question. Maybe this is my therapy session now. And,
maybe that's how I'm going to make money.
yeah.
Life coach for artists. But it's easy for somebody else to say, like, why don't you do this, than it is for you to do yourself.
But that would be the holy grail, to figure out a way of working which gives a lot of satisfaction, and maybe also it creates a bit more steady income, and also lots of time left beside it to experiment and do other stuff.
Yeah.
Actually, always for years I've got this idea that I should go into 3-dimensional work, because basically all my drawings are sketches for sculpture or action figure, I don't know.
Yeah.
And for painting, maybe just focus on abstract stuff, because then I just have to focus on colors, shapes, composition, and maybe that will give it much more peace. Like, okay, can just focus on the aesthetics and the conceptual stuff more in 3-dimensional sculptural style.
Do you want to make sculpture?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's something
Do you want to physically make it, or do you want to have like a drawing and then find people that make it so that
I think I would like to do both, actually.
Right.
I could imagine some stuff being produced by others. At the same time, while you do it and work with material, also concepts and style will change, of course.
Yeah.
That's something else, no? I almost never work with material, just a pen. It's always a drawing. Also, wall painting is basically a big drawing. I would like to focus more on material, if I do painting, work with the paint or the brush itself, and see what kind of design comes from this. But that's a very visual thing, of course. Still, I like the ID part, and that's the little drawings.
Maybe the way is to find, like, that's the idea, and then everything, like the background is the experiment. So you can play with materials and see what happens. You know, like these tools you're making with the brushes and stuff. It's like you've been using those with murals, though, haven't you?
Yeah.
To do shading and stuff.
The thing is, on my drawings, everything is 3-dimensional and with outlines, and abstract stuff with the weird materials and brushes I make. Those are shapes and abstract. So I was trying to figure out if I could make a combination, but it's difficult.
But maybe that's like the beginning of something. So you say, like, so someone says, oh, we want a mural. And you say, okay, this is the basic drawing, but I can't tell you exactly how it's going to be, because a certain percentage of everything around the drawing is an experiment.
And but actually, my first job when I come back to Rotterdam is to make a painting again, abstract painting with the weird brushes. Because a friend of mine, she is a dancer from Norway, and she does a lot of tap dancing. And she uses it as an instrument. So she's recording songs now, and she's gonna make an album. And she asked me to do the album design, because the abstract paintings I make with a lot of dots in there, with the rhythm of the dots, reminds her of the tap dancing.
Right.
So I think that's a very nice crossover.
Yeah, really. But she's making music with the tap dancing, so she's releasing an album of the tap dancing sounds.
Together with instruments, and I haven't heard it yet, but I've been working with her for years, and I trust it will be fun.
Yeah.
We also did some live painting during dancing session and live music with it, and tried to make a game out of it on the stage with big dice, and then make combinations of musicians with artists and then dancers, and everybody crosses over each other. That was a fun experiment, but never really continued on that. But
Well, what were the dice for? Did people roll dice to see which brush you used, or which?
Oh, this is already 15 years ago, but I think to connect different artists together, which painting artists with what musician and what dancer.
Yeah. Okay.
I would react with my drawings. They were big drawings on stage. I would react on the dancing and the music, try to find the rhythm in there, and then
It's jazz, baby.
yeah, it is. The dancers were even just dancing in front of my paper, so I had to draw on top of them, which is also nice.
Yeah, you're really an artist, Dan.
Who knew? Oh.
I think something I like about looking at other people's art is I can always see ways to do things with it. Like with yours, I can see like products, I can see like books, I can see ways for you to make money so that you can do other stuff with it, no longer having to think about the money. But I'm not a businessman, so if I was a businessman, I'd start a fucking company and start making Daan Botlek puzzles and.
To be honest, I would love to do that,
stuff.
and I've been thinking about it for a long time. But then, of course, I have to work with people who could do that because.
Yeah.
But yeah, in a way, I feel like products is much more honest than making one-of-a-kind pieces.
Yeah.
Still, like,
what do you mean?
I prefer to see art as well as products, everything like artifacts of human achievement or thought, ideas, and in that sense I see a lot of artifacts or products also as art pieces. And if people would ask me as an artist what I would have liked to achieve, I would say like a Rubik's Cube. That's for me above many of this artworks like the Mona Lisa and stuff. Of course, I can appreciate a lot of that stuff, but still, the Rubik's Cube on so many levels of. It's amazing. You can project so much on it, so many philosophies and ways of thinking, and also as an object is beautiful, and it's so available for everybody. That's what I like about it. So. Yeah, it would be nice to make products, something ready available for other people. At the same time, like, okay, am I gonna produce a lot of new shit into this world?
Yeah, that's difficult because I was talking to friends of mine about like starting some kind of company as a way to put my stuff out there in a way that's, clothing and products and stuff. But at the same time, it's like, it's just more stuff, man.
Yeah.
But it's also better that people have nice stuff to spend their money on than absolute shit, And it's also difficult for me to even think about that well because I don't buy anything. Like I buy food and I might occasionally buy clothes or a skateboard or something if I'm not making the skateboard myself, or I buy things I need, like tools, but I don't buy things to put around the house, It's like, and people do, and they buy a lot of that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like Katie was telling me yesterday about her sister-in-law who buys so much stuff from like these fancy interior design stores, and it's like, oh wow, some people have lots of money to spend on stuff they don't really need.
Sometimes it feels like they probably got a job 4 or 5 days a week.
Yeah, they do.
And in the spare time, you got money. You want to, how do you say that? Reward yourself in a way.
Yeah.
And you always got this good feeling now when you bought something you like, and it becomes, a way of relaxing or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I get. I haven't had a proper job for so long, but I get the feeling it's more about like. I think a lot of people don't like their regular jobs. They just do it because that's what they started doing when they were younger, and they kind of got stuck in it, and now they've moved up and they earn more money, and now they've got a mortgage, and they've got to go pay for their house, and they've got to pay for their car, and they've got to pay for the kids' school, and they're not happy. I'm not going to say they're not happy, but their job is not satisfying them in a way that they wouldn't need to buy stuff, or they wouldn't need the money. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I can imagine that people are maybe not even thinking that much about it because it gives a lot of structure in life, securities. Maybe they don't like it, but don't really see it or experience it like that. It's more like I just have to do it.
Yeah.
But then again, we're just thinking about stuff we don't really have experience with. Just projecting, like,
Yeah, trying
if I would be in a job like this, I probably would not like it because of this and that, but yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what it's like to be a regular person. That's why it's difficult to think about what would, I was talking to this French kid today, this artist I met in Hamburg, and he was talking about like the battle between trying to do the things that you want to do with your art and doing stuff that people like. I was like, dude, if you're thinking about what people are going to like, it's a fool's game, man. It's like, you don't know what people are going to like. And there's so many people that some people will like that thing you do and some people like that thing you do. And, you know, if you're more like, I really like these silly drawings you make with, like, you know, this T-Rex series and things like that. And I like that
it's a practice more, like, it feels like.
Yeah, like how much can I rinse out of this one idea? Like,
well, that's a cool thing to do, no? It's
it's great. I
like doing
that.
a crossword puzzle or something. It's just another game to do.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't get that when I was younger because I was like, well, I got all these. Look, I can draw these different things, and I got all these different ideas. But then, 5 or 6 years ago, with these human being things, it's like, it's fun to do because it's easy and quick, and it's a game for me, and people like it. So I'm like, well, I just try doing this for a while. I don't need to try and be clever all the time. I don't need to come up with ideas. Why can't I just draw beams and enjoy?
Maybe it's a bit too late already, but should we switch sides or something?
Oh yeah, we could do.
Because now it becomes
let's do that. That's a good idea. Yes. All right.
Oh yeah, it looks very different from upside down.
Nice.
I got money, yeah.
Money but no bitches. Money but no fame.
Oh shit, I'm too easy with this discomfort. That's my issue.
Yeah, I'm trying to push myself a bit more. I still didn't get to the stage of taking cold showers yet. But
this is one of the few things I do.
Oh yeah?
Which is
Oh, but that's really good.
Somehow it's much easier to do when you are in a different place, no? Like, I've been doing this art project for the last month.
Interesting.
And then it's no problem to just do a cold shower, but when I'm back home, like, okay, maybe... Oh, it's still okay because of this weather, but in winter, it's horrible.
Yeah. It makes you feel alive though. It's like, fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, I do it sometimes, but for seconds, not for like, I'm not doing like 2-minute cold exposures and stuff. That's a bit not there yet. Need to toughen up, grow some fucking balls. But I mean, even just going to this movement course, for me, that's like, well, I have to go somewhere where there's people I don't know and do things that I don't know what I'm doing. Like, that's this drawing thing. I've been doing it so long that it's pretty easy I just do that and I know what I'm doing. It's all good. So I don't have to think too much. But I think it's important to put yourself in challenging situations somehow.
2 years ago, I was end of the day at a bench with some friends, having a beer, see people pass by, and then a friend of one of the guys with us just passed by, and later when he moved on, our friend told us, like, yeah, he's going to Hermannplatz now, to do his job, and apparently he is a coach Frauen ansprechen, a coach talking to women. So he's
How do you mean talking to women?
well, it's just for this.
Or how to talk to women?
Yeah, or just go up to somebody and start conversations for people who are very shy, or men who are very shy.
Yeah.
But still, it sounded so creepy. I'm going to Hermannplatz to do that. But just the name itself, Coach Frauen ansprechen.
Oh, Germans have words for everything, man.
Yeah.
If there was a coach like how to get men not to talk to you, I think a lot of women would be into that.
Yeah.
Leave me alone. No, you don't understand. I'm trying to learn a skill. I'm trying to learn how to talk to women. I don't even understand why that's a thing though, because it's like, why is it different to talk to women to men? I mean, going up to a guy you've never met and talking to him is no different from going up to a woman you've never met and talking to them.
Maybe it's also part of it, but I can imagine Coach Frauen ansprechen is more appealing to people who are maybe very lonely.
All those incels. When I was taking Oscar to school this morning, I saw a poster that's organising a march against Jordan B. Peterson coming to Berlin to do a talk. You know this guy?
I'm not sure.
It's like a clinical psychologist that was a university lecturer, and I don't know, probably like 10 years ago, Canada started having these. Hey, you did good arms there. Well done.
I've been following you for a while.
Yeah. They started having these rules in Canada that was telling you words you couldn't use in schools and universities. Like, you're not allowed to say certain things, and you just like, nah, that's not good, because once you start shutting down the way people use words and changing the meanings of words and things like this, then we're getting into a place where people can't communicate. Like, when the meaning of words changes, you know, like when my dad was a kid, the word gay meant happy. When I was a kid, it meant homosexual. Then when I was in my 20s, the word started to mean like weak, like, oh man, that shit's gay, you know. Mm-hmm. Now I'm not sure what it means anymore.
I guess it depends the context and who you're with, no? Like, some words you can use with certain friends who know you, but you don't do them with people who you just met.
Yeah.
And yeah, well, especially like gay, but also a lot of when it's about groups, fringe groups, these words will be abused anyway. And if you come up with a different name, which happens once in a while, after a while, this name also get this heavy new context. It's gonna be used the same way as the previous one eventually.
Yeah, I don't know, it's all confusing. But anyway, Jordan B. Peterson, because he was fighting against the university he was working for, he started being on podcasts and stuff talking about this issue, and he'd already written a book, and he's done all these lectures that he's just was putting online, like his lectures about the Bible, like the meaning of those stories and like ways to look at them. They're super interesting. But he wrote this book, 12 Rules for Life, which
rules again.
Yeah, rules again. It's really interesting, and he's helped a lot of young men, because you know it's difficult to be a young man these days. I mean, if you're a straight white male, you're the most hated person in society right now, and
well, it depends how sensitive you are to it, and
a lot of people are sensitive. If you're like a lot of teenagers, they're growing up in this world where if you're a white boy, you're being told you're shit. You're being told like you're responsible for the fucking patriarchy, which is ruining the world. So you don't want to be who you are, because you don't have not only do you not have any worth, but you're the enemy of so many people, and that's no fun. And then you're growing up in a world where you're being told humans are a cancer on the earth and we're killing the planet, and everything you do is fucking everything up. Man, depressing to be a teenager right now.
Yeah.
I think it always was depressing to be a teenager, but
how I experienced it the last few years is like, okay, there's a lot of very relevant topics in society about, well, gender, politics, race, everything.
Yeah.
But the way people approach this conversation is so super annoying, no? Like, I think too many people approach it in a way of trying to win the conversation.
Yes.
And are not... like, if you're really convinced of your point of view and your ways, you should have only one thing in mind, is try to convince the other people to see it from your perspective and be on your side. But to do so, you also should have a lot of patience and humility.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a lot of people already feel pushed in a corner, no? And you'll start defending, and you just have to make sure that they're comfortable enough that they can go with your perspective. Yeah. But somehow people are so easy just point at the other like, hey, you were wrong, instead of convincing the other like, hey, I get it, but maybe I also see it from this side.
Yeah.
And then it becomes this tribalism. You see it in so many things, of course, also in politics. And of course, there's some people who use this for their own advantage. But still, you should only have one thing in mind, is just to get the other people on your side, no? And if you start accusing people, like I said, like when you're a straight white male, hey, it's very easy to make straight white males see that they are in a privileged position, no? And that's not something to be ashamed about. You just have to be aware about it, and just have to make sure that you become a participant in equality for everybody.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's pointless talking about straight white males, because there's Elon Musk is a straight white male and I'm a straight white male. Mm-hmm. We have totally different lives. Mm-hmm. The privilege he has is not the same as the privilege I have.
No, of course
so
not.
But the way they talk about things is like, this is this group, and it's like, yeah, but that's not a group. that's not a group that you can. It's like if you talk about black people or trans people or women, or it's not a group. It's individuals having a life.
It's a category.
Yeah, and everyone is different, so you can't talk about people as if everyone in a group is the same, because that's not true. So if you're pissed off with say, what's the name of that fucking douchebag movie producer who was like abusing all the Weinstein, you know, okay, yes, he should be fucking hated because he did awful things, but that doesn't mean every other white guy is the same as him, you know. Yeah, it's difficult, but
I think most people don't see it like that, but
yeah, they don't, and I think that's part of the problem, because they're not thinking. I think that's a lot of the problem in life, is people don't think enough.
Well, people are just very frustrated, and then it's very difficult to have a open discussion about anything, no? Like, and especially the last few years, tensions did get high, less opportunity to meet each other, because that's automatically a very different conversation then.
Yeah.
People are frustrated and also insecure about a lot of things. Want to have answers instead of wanting to deal with the question. I mean, for many things there are not really straight answers, no? You just have to know how to deal with the question instead of going for a straight answer. Then it becomes very dogmatic, and then the tribalist thing.
And often there's not an answer, or the answer is a myriad different things.
Yeah.
I mean, like this whole COVID thing, it's like people just wanted to know, what do I have to do? It's like, well, it's probably 20 different things you can do.
Well, at first, at least there was a conversation for a few months, but then
Yeah, I guess.
there was a decision like, hey, we go this direction, we see it from this perspective, and we're gonna tackle it like this, and then become very dogmatic. But also different groups and different perspectives became kind of enemies, and the conversation was gone, and that was super annoying.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing with this. Like, when you this rally against Jordan Peterson, it's because they don't want him to speak, and it's like, well, if you stop people from speaking, that doesn't help, because you need to have conversation. You need to listen, and
that was also with the Seth Rogen thing, right, on Spotify.
Joe Rogan. Yeah.
Joe Rogan,
Yeah. But the thing with, like, they tried to accuse him of being all these things, but he's got, I don't know, 1,800 podcasts that are each at least 3 hours long, with men, women, black, white, straight, gay, like every kind of person, scientists, comedians, doctors, journalists, like, all you have to do is listen.
Yeah.
And then you go, well, he's not that person you're saying he is. You're taking like one thing he said at one point in his life and using that to say that he's a bad person. It's like, but you're ignoring the other 3 million fucking hours of conversations he's had with people, and that's silly. But you know, you were saying earlier about like having a conversation and trying to convince somebody else of your point of view. And I was just reading this book, this like Matthew McConaughey, this actor, has this autobiography called Green Lights. And at some stage in his life, he went to Africa. He had some weird dream, and he took it as an omen that he had to go to Africa. So he went to Africa, and he got this guide, and he had a bunch of adventures. But he tells a story about how he's in a city, and they're in a bar with his guide and two of the guy's friends, and a girl, I guess she was a prostitute, came to the table and to see if anyone was interested in some business, and they weren't. But when she left the table, the guide was saying, you know, she's a Muslim girl, she shouldn't be doing this, she shouldn't be selling her body. And then his friend had a different opinion and was like, no, but you know, blah blah blah, whatever the argument was. And after listening to this back and forth for a while, Matthew McConaughey said, no, I agree with this guy, she shouldn't be doing that. And the guy who he was agreeing with turned around and was like, no, this isn't about right or wrong, it's about, do you understand? So like a conversation is like a discussion, an argument, however you want to say it, is not about one of you winning. It's about broadening your idea of the world. Because if we're having a discussion, a disagreement about something, you think this is the way to go, and I think this is the way to go. If we actually have a conversation and try and understand the different perspectives, we learn and we grow. Maybe it makes us question our own perspective. Maybe it makes us more convinced we're right. It doesn't matter. We just see that, okay, this isn't the only way to go here. We don't only have to draw in black and white. We can also use colour.
Yeah, but that's, I think, what the scary part is for a lot of people. Like, you have to question your own.
You have to question your own ideas, but that means you have to think, and that's what people are not doing. They're not thinking.
Yeah, but
a
lot of people feel easily attacked, and also a lot of people are too easily putting themselves in a position of a victim.
Yeah.
So then you don't have a discussion anymore anyway.
Yeah. And I think that's really to your disadvantage to claim victimhood, because if you say you're a victim, that is not a position to stop being a victim. If you identify yourself as a victim, then how do you then become not a victim? Because that's your identity.
Yeah, I grew up with a father who acted like that.
It's
very difficult. Yeah. Because you easily get put in a position of the perpetrator.
Yeah.
The one who did something to him. Well, most of the time I didn't even know what the situation was, but that was his way to reacting to situations.
Okay.
And I guess that has to do with his own upbringing, fighting the church, his own family,
Oh yeah.
and authority in general. And now he has nothing to fight against, but it has become part of his identity, and that's how we put him. That's his position in a conversation or an argument.
Yeah. Okay.
It took me a while to learn how to deal with that.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's not very easy. I think it's also quite a. I think I was much more like. I definitely was much more like that when I was younger. I thought I knew everything. You know, everything's very black and white when you're a teenager. Like, this sucks. This type of music is terrible.
Yeah.
This, I'm in this gang, not that gang.
Because you need this idea that things are like this, no? Like the confirmation of.
Yeah. That you're not wasting your life because you're doing the right thing. I'm listening to the right music. I'm believing in the right politics. I'm supporting the right causes. I'm fighting for the right things. Oh yeah. So what are you doing in Rotterdam? What was the project? No, in
Dresden.
Dresden. Düsseldorf, Dortmund, Dresden.
I'm doing this project with befriended artists. We do it now for over 10 years.
I was just thinking like in abandoned factory buildings.
That's how it started out. 10 years ago, I just went with one friend to Dresden for 1 month with the idea like, hey, we're just gonna work in these empty buildings.
Yeah.
Because for me, I just want to get started painting again. I stopped doing that for many years because I lost interest because of how the scene developed. And then after a few years, like, yeah, but I miss painting.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, I'm just gonna take it easy. I really like this, all this Mediterranean people. So I go to Spain, just gonna paint some abandoned farms. I don't know. I didn't have a plan, just go there. And then I met my friend at the bar, and he was like, yeah, I'm gonna do something same like that, but in Leipzig.
Okay.
And my friend is a fine artist doing sculptures and paintings. And it's all about nature taking over culture or architecture in that sense.
Nice.
Buildings overgrown. Well, it was his theme anyway, but normally he would go places, make photos, and use that information and ideas to work in a studio.
Yeah.
And he was like, nope, I want to work in those places itself.
Mm.
So we went to Leipzig, rented a student apartment. So we had some roommates over there, young students, super nice, who showed us town also, and we could have their bikes, and we explored a lot of buildings, and then after 1 week decided like, okay, this building is gonna be our studio. And we stayed there for 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And also during those weeks, I made a few paintings, he made a few canvas paintings, and then realized like, hey, actually, because of the context, because of the buildings, suddenly our works fit together. Because we knew our works for so many years, but it's so completely different, so we never even considered doing something together. But within this new context, we were like, hey, it's almost like an exhibition. And then we thought like, hey, why not just making an exhibition? So just for fun, we came up with a name, we made flyers, posters, and all the people we met in those buildings. And also we met on exhibition openings during those weeks.
Yeah.
We invited, and actually quite some people came along. One of our roommates was there with his guitar making some live music.
Nice.
We made a table with some drinks, and it's also very nice because all the audience had to go in there illegally, and in a way they're part of a big performance then. That was a lot of fun, and actually we were surprised, like, okay, we got a lot of motivation out of this, but also people liked it, the audience, and then we thought like, okay, come back next year. We invited a few friends, so we did. Next time we were with 5, and then every time it was extended a little bit, and then we also invited a documentary maker every year, making a movie out of it.
Nice.
And this year was already the 12th edition.
Oh.
And also I was kind of for me it was too much being a rehearsal now. I knew exactly how to work, what would work, how to present it, and I felt like I need something else. At first, actually, I didn't want to join this year, and then a documentary maker, they asked for this project. He or she declined or couldn't go, and then I thought like, hey, this could be my job. Actually, this is my job, and I told them like, hey, I'm gonna do the documentary.
Ah, okay.
And
right.
because then I had a good new job to do, something to explore. I could do more with photography, which I'm also already doing a bit. Make combinations with drawing, text, whatsoever. So yeah, basically that was my job this time, just hanging around, document stuff, and now I have to make something to present eventually. So normally
Were you filming as well?
Yeah, but more like 10 seconds, like short bits.
Okay.
Because I really don't want to make a movie. At first I thought then it would become a publication, a book or something, or maybe an old style map, foldable map.
Yep.
But later on ideas went into maybe card games, like memory game or...
Oh yeah, that's nice.
And now I was thinking about a board game with, I don't know the English name, maybe Goose Chase? Like all this little, you go down a road and every step on the road is something can happen, which makes you go a few steps ahead or back. And I could use a lot of the works, but also a lot of the events happening during this month. I put it in there. Also, my criticism about the project, could do it in there, but in a funny way, like it's not offending. So yeah, I'm thinking about making a board game now.
Yeah, nice.
So
I made a board game with Oscar, or rather Oscar started to make a board game, and it was like, he just sat down one day and just started drawing this thing. And when I was a kid I used to make these little metal soldiers, not soldiers but like skeletons and this stuff, like moulding them, you little rubber mould, and you pour the hot metal in and then you paint them, and it's like Dungeons and Dragons stuff, but I didn't play Dungeons and Dragons, I just like making the things. And I thought, it might be something he's interested in, so I got some for him for Christmas, like the year before last, or whatever. And it was fun, and he was into this, and then he started making this board game where these were like the playing pieces. And the board game was pretty good. I was like, this is actually fun to play, because it was quite quick to play. He hates board games. He never played board games because he gets very frustrated if he loses. But this board game, it was quick to play. There was lots of action because there was lots of things happening, and everyone could lose, because at the end you had to like fight a big boss, and it was possible that everyone could lose, or it could be possible that someone has almost won and then they lose and then somebody else wins. So there was like, it wasn't just like whoever gets to the target first wins, that kind of thing. So I was like, you know what, we're going to make this into a proper board game. And I got him to redraw everything, and then I scanned everything and coloured it and made it into a board game with pieces that you could cut out and make these little stand-up figures, and made a bunch of them, and we gave them to his friends for birthdays and gave them as presents from
nice.
And it was cool. So yeah, make a board game. It's fun.
Yeah,
it'd be interesting. It's also something different.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't need another fucking 10-minute long movie about a project.
Okay. Actually, I've been doing a lot of. Eventually, most of what I've been doing, or the most fun part of it, is actually something I want to do for many years. Just write down all the weird sentences which will pop up during a conversation, which are amazing if the context is gone. It could be very deep philosophical stuff and bullshit at the same time, which... Okay, I had a lot of amazing sentences. I can put them in a board game, but I just have to make sure that it's not become an insider game, that people who were there know what it relates to, but still can make something. But no, I've got so many nice... I had my book, and it's full of all these notes, but actually... for this podcast, maybe also interesting, there was one... we had one guest artist. She graduated recently, but she's a landscape architect. And we were, this time we were not in a building, but in a old, like it's a Gelände. It's just an open space,
Yeah.
overgrown, old station, train station, ruins of buildings but overgrown with plants and trees,
Nice.
like a Angkor Wat temple area almost.
Nice.
And she's doing a lot of research over there with how people go through, because she's really into leaving places like this, and not turning it into a park, because it already is a park.
Yeah, right.
And she's
Nice.
designing things for this. But then again, this is also a place a lot of graffiti artists have a nice afternoon doing something, not
Yeah.
really high ambitious, but just, hey, have a fun time over there. It's full of spray cans, so a lot of the artists involved in this project did something with spray cans. And this landscape architect, she came up to me and she had an amazing question, and it was really quiet for a while, because it's such a good question in many ways. The question was, she was holding a spray can, and she was like, hey Dan, how much graffiti goes into one spray can? I was like, whoa.
How much graffiti goes into it? Or how much
Oh,
comes
get out
out
of it, yeah. Well, and it's like, whoa, that is such a cool question, because in many levels. But yeah, I can imagine doing a project like this for 1 month and really start to investigate. Like, yeah, how much graffiti is in one spray can?
You know, I was drawing these simple characters, and someone gave me a can of Futura black. Futura had his own thing,
Yeah.
and I thought, I wonder how many. I could just do a project where I'd just go out with this one can of black. How many characters can I paint with one can of black?
Mhm.
So yeah, how much graffiti comes
Yeah,
out of
but
one can? It's nice.
Yeah, you can do it in a very physical graffiti way, but also, what is graffiti? And you can do it in a very philosophical way, of course. This question, it could go so many directions, and eventually everybody could do something with this question, you know, like.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's a nice brief for like if you're making a project with a bunch of people, like this is the brief.
Yeah.
How much graffiti comes out
it
of one
could be
canvas?
anything, huh? You could make interesting poems about this, or yeah, you could do it literally, like, yeah, how much is in there?
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just amazed by this question, and it's still haunting me. No, not haunting, but
It's still on your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I like that. Yeah, because there's a lot you could do there as well. But this writing down things you hear people say. There's a book about how to be a cartoonist that a friend gave me. It's like by some Italian guy, I can't remember his name. And one of the exercises he says to do is just to like stand in the street and just overhear people's conversations and write down snippets of conversations. And it's really like, it's a fun exercise, because you can, and then you take those random things that people have said and you make that into a cartoon.
But if it's random, you can also just put a random drawing next to it, and you will make a connection anyway, and it already is a story. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I guess in a way it's kind of what I'm doing doing here, because I'm writing down some things people say, us.
But yeah, I noticed, like, I've got this long idea, or no idea. I really want to do something with text, or much more.
Yeah.
Because text is amazing in so many levels, and yeah, I really like to observe. Well, I constantly have this conversation with people, but then again, stop sometimes, like, whoa, what did you just say? Like, this is really amazing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interfering in the conversation. At the same time, it's like, wow. Because, well, reality is surreal anyway in many ways, but conversation is too. You know, like.
Look at the sketchbook. It's nearly all just words, things that I hear people saying on podcasts. There's hardly any drawing. Oh no, there's a drawing of a fat lady. But it's just all words. Things I heard. It's like, I write more than I draw now. And because I know how to draw. I don't think too much about it anymore. but drawing is a form of communication, I guess. So
It's a language.
yeah, it's a language. So I like when I hear something really interesting, I will write it down because maybe it inspires a drawing or gives me another idea. And I was listening to this podcast yesterday with this real old lady who was like a poet, Laurel Erica. Man, she said some fucking amazing things. She said some really great things, and it was yeah, I had to write down a lot of things. Yeah, I don't know if they make sense. If I now I look at them now, I'm like, it's kind of, it was nicer in her conversation. She had a really nice way of communicating.
Mhm.
She was a sweet lady. It was really yeah, it was great. And then hearing her read some of her poems was also really interesting because I don't engage with poetry very much. Don't really understand it. Like I haven't engaged with it enough to really get it. But hearing her poems and hearing her talking about poems and stuff, it was like, interesting. Maybe I should be paying more attention to things like
It's
that.
also just good to write it down, and then later, when you go back, you see the stuff again, which you probably already forgot 2 weeks later.
Yeah, true. And it's like random things that are a starting point for creation.
I'm really curious how many people are still listening to this now.
They probably don't care about what we're saying. They just want to see what happens with the drawing.
And how this will be used maybe in some future interviews, that they refer to some weird conversation here.
Yeah.
Or drawing.
In 2022, you said this. Oh, did I? Could be. Is it still recording even? Oh. The battery's nearly done, so I think maybe you want to keep going or you want to stop? I mean, there's still some space, but
Could go on for a while. Maybe it's about time for a new tea
yeah,
and
okay.
a cookie.
Well, I'm gonna stop the yeah, I'm gonna end. Thanks, Dan. That was fun.
Yes,
Yes.
thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome.
I also had fun. It was a nice, spontaneous event.
Yeah. That's the good thing about Instagram is they go, oh look, that looks like German sidewalk. Maybe maybe Dan's in town. And you were. Great, nice. Thanks for coming. See you next time, kids.